Okay, friends, welcome back. It is a couple days later, and many of you have gotten that email I just sent out that talked about butter. My nickname used to be Butterball. And now, ironically, I eat a lot of butter, but it's not turkey, it's actual grass-fed butter. And I'll talk about that in a second. But first of all, thank you for being here. If you missed part one, you don't have to go back and watch that first, but do go back and watch it because I kind of outlined the six parts to this, what I'm going to talk about. But I want to give you good information. Most of you are like, quit talking, just tell me what to do. That's tricky because um, what I have done for myself, I learned a lot of things the hard way. And to be fair, to be honest, well, I don't like the word fair. I don't like four-letter F words in my house, and fair is one of the worst. Um, to be reasonable and appropriate, we all have different journeys here. Overall, we should be all eating the same, moving the same, having the same light hygiene, sun up, sun down, all the things that I talk about and help my patients with. But it is very individual because some people like me do terrible with certain plants and some people do really well with them. Does that mean it's great for everybody and not great for others? No, it just means there's different tolerances. Um, and I'm not anti-plant, however, they are trying to kill me. So I learned that from Dr. Anthony Chafee, and quite literally, I respond very poorly to plants, especially some of the ketogenic style plants. So we'll talk about what I eat and why I eat it. But today is called part two, doing it wrong, which you probably can't see that now that I look. The light's weird in here, but doing it wrong. And what I mean by that is I used to do just about everything wrong. So growing up, like I talked to you last time about, I was an emotional eater, a lot of carbohydrate, lost weight the wrong way, just basically by starving myself, walking a ton. And when I did eat, I was such a calorie deficit, I lost weight. But as you get older, you can't do that. A calorie deficit doesn't work. Raise your hand if you've heard your doctor say, eat less and exercise more. And most of you watching this have tried that, and it either doesn't work, or you don't feel good doing it, or it works, but it's unsustainable because all you are is cold and hungry and cranky, which was me. Ask my wife, she'll tell you, and my kids. So now I'm less cranky and less irritable and less cold, and I get to eat more, so I'm becoming happier. And I say that kind of joking, but not really. So what I did wrong was most of my adult life, low fat, right? We're supposed to eat low fat because fat makes us fat, is what we were told. I was told by the fitness industry, medical doctors, nutritionists, pretty much culture everything was this fat-free craze, right? And it's almost like you can eat as much as you want because there's no fat in here, just empty calories. They're not gonna go anywhere. They're gonna go right through you. And it's like, are you kidding me? Carbohydrates are basically sugar, and our body does not waste sugar. It just stores it for later. Okay, that's what adipose tissue is. That's what body fat is. So I was doing low fat and I was counting calories. And the problem is, counting calories is a very strange thing in general. We have substrates or food. Okay, that's potential energy, but you can't say, oh, here's how much energy this could be, and assume it's going to do that in the body. Every body's very different. Some bodies need a lot of protein just to replace and heal tissues, so they're not actually using much of that for energy. It's very inefficient. That's why eating like the moderate protein, low fat, high vegetable diet, some people lose weight. But then those are the same people that see me for hormone problems, anxiety, chronic pain. Their metabolism is slow, they're losing their hair, the thyroid's not working because it's not a healthy diet. Low fat is not a healthy diet. So that's what I was doing wrong. Um, and like anything, here's your disclaimer. If I'm not personally working with you, just this is my opinion. Don't take it as advice. Try what you want, try what you don't want, but don't go against another doctor's orders unless you're working directly with me. If you want to work with me, just send me an email, respond to this, and we can talk about that. But I'm just going to assume that you are just somebody out there gaining information, what worked for me, and maybe it could work for you too. Probably will. But once again, it's got to be nuanced. It's got to be for you, where you'll spend 4 years losing 40 pounds like I did when I probably could have done it in 3 to 6 months the right way or sooner. But so I was counting calories. I was eating low fat. I was eating a bunch of plants like cruciferous vegetables because they do have compounds in them that can be healthy for the liver. The broccoli, the cabbage, the kale, the cauliflower. And the more of that I ate, and avocados and things that people say, oh, great, we're eating that, we're going to be healthy. They were just making me sick because I have intolerances to those foods and those plant toxins. And anyway, it was just making a mess in my body. So I sent a video about butter. I eat quite a bit of butter now. Butter is my snack. If I'm hungry, I'll put a little piece of butter in my mouth and I'll see if the hunger goes away. I even do that if I'm thirsty, because I believe we drink too much water as well. I'm not saying don't drink water when you're thirsty, but most of us are addicted to water and we're always thirsty. And we think drinking a bunch of water is a healthy thing. It is absolutely not. That's a whole nother conversation. Um, and I could connect you with the work of Dr. Laszlo Boros, who talks all about deuterium and heavy hydrogen that we're getting in our water and how that's fouling up our mitochondria, which, by the way, is how we make our own metabolic water, which is our youthfulness and our energy and ATP, and it's how our brain works and our body heals. So yes, it is possible that drinking too much water, especially, I don't care if it's reverse osmosis, this, that, it's got a lot of heavy hydrogen in it, and we just drink more water than we need. We are able to make metabolic water from fat. Okay, so that's why I either want to eat it or I want to burn it. Okay, so I eat a very high fat diet, and here's the problem though. If you eat a high fat diet, and you eat carbohydrates at the same time, fat and carbohydrates will create something called the Randle cycle in your body. And I'm not an expert on this, but I know enough about it. I've verified it, I've read it, I've talked to doctors and physiopathologists about this, people who really understand the Krebs cycle and the Randle cycle and metabolism of the body. But what I've learned from all that, what I accept as truth, is that when you mix fat and carbohydrate, you get an inflammatory kind of problem in the blood, which is really the root cause of most atherosclerosis, heart disease. Okay, and inflammation is caused by fat and carbohydrate at the same time, and you don't find it in nature that way, right? Do you ever find fat and carbohydrate in nature? It's very rare. It's very rare. I mean, in some amounts, right? Nuts have carbohydrate and fat, coconut has carbohydrate and fat, but I'm talking like significant amounts, like a burger with fries and a bun, ton of carbohydrate, hundreds of grams of carbohydrate, and a lot of fat. And it doesn't seem to matter whether it's saturated or vegetarian fat. So, anyhow, in the spirit of doing it wrong, I did most things wrong. I counted calories instead of letting my body tell me to eat when I'm hungry and drink when I'm thirsty, which it does now, but it took a long time to get that figured out. Um, because when you're eating a lot of carbohydrate, which is sugar, you will have improper cravings and thoughts and addictions that you don't even know you're having. Those plant toxins. People say, "What's a plant toxin?" Well, why do you think romaine lettuce, organic romaine lettuce, broccoli, cabbage? Why do you think they're organic? They didn't have poison, but they look beautiful and perfect. And organic produce that looks really good. Why do you think it looks so good? So when a lion's going to eat a gazelle, what does a gazelle do? It runs. When an animal wants to eat, or let's say an insect or a fungus or whatever wants to eat a plant, the plant can't run. So what does it do? It releases its natural plant toxins, defense mechanisms. So I believe animals like cows and goats and things like that, they have an ability to eat that, get beyond those toxins because they're adapted and meant to eat them. It's their species appropriate food. And then they can make saturated fats out of the green. So they eat the grass, make saturated fat. We eat the animal, get our fat. But what we're trying to do is bypass the animal, and that's a whole other conversation. There's a lot of bad information out there about what animals are doing to the ground and to the environment. I think most of it's nonsense. I think a lot of this plant-based world right now is harming the ground, unfortunately, more than any animal could ever do. And anyway, that's another conversation. Send me an email and I'll connect you with people I follow, paleontologists and um, regenerative farmers that talk about all these kind of things. But what we're talking about is an appropriate diet for people and humans. And so what I did wrong was low fat. I was counting calories and I was over exercising. And I was trying to do the math. Okay, well, I ran on a treadmill for 40 minutes and I lifted weights. So that's 400 calories. So then I pulled that off the top and I tried to do this, this deficit. And I did lose weight slowly, but I felt miserable. My skin was saggy and not tight, and I just felt tired and cold and just cranky and hungry all the time. And so when I started eating more an appropriate diet for my body, which is high fat, moderate protein, um, I started craving food less. Now I eat pretty much twice a day. And I used to eat four, five, six a day, three meals and a couple snacks. And really think about it, all we're doing is eating and eating and eating. And how is that? That doesn't stimulate anything except fat production. That does not stimulate a higher, faster metabolism. Most of you have tried that. It stimulates getting fat. Okay, so I did that wrong. The low fat I did wrong. The eating the plants that weren't working for my body I did wrong. I cut, the fat out, which made more protein and vegetables, and that fiber I thought was good, and then I found out that fiber was upsetting my stomach. Now I don't eat fiber, and my bowels are healthier than they've been in my whole life, which I know sounds strange, but true. So, what is the take home of this? You want to eat really good grass-fed fat. I like butter for a snack. I like most of my calories in my diet, here's the big reveal, come from ground beef. Okay, I try to make sure it's grass-fed, not always though. And I eat other things too, but primarily I eat ground beef with eggs and some low carbohydrate cheeses that are fermented, like a really, really aged cheddar, or I really like the Point Reyes blue cheese. Costco has both of those. I don't get all my meat from Costco. It is USDA, but I'm sure a lot of that's corn fed. It's not grass fed except the burger patties, which for 5 something a pound, I mean, that is the best nutrition you're going to get. But I buy my ground beef from bougie places all over California, and some too lean, some too fat, and I have to mix them. And, because I had to adapt to eating a lot of protein and fat, mostly fat. And now my body loves it. And slowly over time, I'm leaning up. I'm feeling better. My chronic pain is going down in its severity. I'm sleeping better, and my digestive tract is healing. But I will tell you guys, healing takes time. Okay, so I figured for me, the real clock started about 6 months ago when I made some radical dietary changes, some of the ones I'm talking to you about today. And it's probably going to take me a year or two to really heal. And I started out in pretty decent shape. I'm 49 years old, and I'm probably around 12% body fat when I started this thing. And I had a pretty good level of fitness, exercising and hiking, and I slept okay. So some of you out there have chronic pain, chronic insomnia, chronic depression, chronic hormone dysregulation, insomnia, gut pain. We've got to really help you rebuild this. So I'm trying to give you really basic tools for rebuilding your body, um, tools that work. And so do me a favor. If you have questions, please send me an email, ask me about your questions. If I already work with you, when I see you in your sessions, ask me about this stuff. Ask me, ask me, ask me, have your questions ready. If I don't work with you, ask me your questions, and consider why you're not working with me. If I'm a crackpot, hey, that's fine, unsubscribe. But if there's something to what I'm saying and you're like, I want to see where this goes, then hang around. I'm going to continue to share with what I'm doing, what works for me, what works for a lot of my patients. And little by little, we're going to give you enough information to where you could probably exhaust that, have great results. And if you don't, then it means you probably need a coach, somebody like me to walk you through nutrition, light therapy, sun up, sun down, emotional triggers and stress, allergies, adrenal hormones getting tested, not through blood that just shows you all these availabilities and only shows you a problem if you red flag. And oh yeah, the last thing I was going to say, my cholesterol pegs the meter. And this is kind of an uncomfortable thing to say because for so many years we were told high cholesterol is bad. Well, number one, my genetics dictate the level of cholesterol I make, made in the liver. Number two, cholesterol makes most of my brain. Most of my cells are made from a cholesterol membrane, and it's essential for growth and development. In fact, kids are all goofed up nowadays, in my opinion, because they're not growing up with enough fat, enough cholesterol. We're giving them all the carbohydrate. They have all these skin issues and cancer issues and ADHD issues and asthma issues, and we're injecting them and giving them pills and all these things that a body doesn't need. A kid does not need this stuff. Kid needs good food, good sunshine, good play, and once in a while there's a trauma or a bad infection, not a virus, just a minimal piddly thing. I'm talking a bad infection, and then you need surgeons and drugs and things like that. By all means, our healthcare system is great at that. But when it comes to trauma and acute infection and things like that, you take that away. As far as healthcare, it's not healthcare. They're not. There's no health there. They're very unequipped and untrained in real health. And to be honest, they're not. That's okay. They probably know this. You're going to the wrong person if you really want to lose weight and get your hormones balanced and get your emotions settled and get your mind working right and get your body strong again. So you either do what typical healthcare is and you accept and embrace this kind of senility and you get on your medications and you start making logical excuses why your body doesn't work the way it's supposed to, like menopause, like older age, like, oh, my knees hurt when, the clouds roll in, like all these things. My wrists hurt because I type all day. All these, most of this is nonsense. Okay. If you have chronic problems, your body's asking you for help. It's raising your hand saying, hey, hook up with somebody that can help you, coach you through this. Okay. So if you have these weird chronic things, shoot me a line. You could respond in the comments if this is on YouTube, or just shoot me an email at drseanpatterson@gmail.com. Dr. Sean Patterson, DRSEAN, PATTERSON@gmail.com. That's it for today. We will get a little bit more next time into the nitty gritty of when I eat, how much I eat, and we'll start talking about exercise and what I do there. Okay? Have a great day, and I'll look forward to your comments, suggestions, and what you want to hear. Please, I'm making these as I go, so if you want to hear something specific, shoot me a message and I will include it. Thanks so much. Blessings to you guys. Bye.